Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, I would just really like to say some gratitude towards all of you who have watched, who have supported me. I have to give a big shout out to my wonderful, amazing husband. He has been encouraging me to do this, and I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for him, honestly. He's really been a huge support, but you guys have been incredible. Watching and giving me feedback and everything has been amazing, and I'm getting a lot of response, and that's why I'm doing this whole thing is just, I just want people to know that this is like real life, okay? So tonight we're going to be talking about being a mom and a stepmom. We're going over the good, the bad, the ugly, and the funny, okay? I've had a lot of interesting experiences. I've been a mom and a stepmom, and so I just want to share those with you guys, and maybe you guys can reach out and give me some feedback. Being a mom, wow. What is there to say about being a mom? Actually, I have a lot to say about being a mom, believe it or not. It's definitely interesting. Okay. If any of you have ever seen that movie Bad Moms, oh my gosh, I've seen Bad Moms and a Bad Moms Christmas, and that's like my movie. Okay, guys, I completely relate to the moms in that movie. I'm not your stereotypical mom. I'm not Susie Homemaker. I'm not the one who would sit and homeschool my kids. I'm not the one, we don't go to the park every weekend. I don't bake cookies all the time. That's just not the kind of mom I am. I am very much more a realistic mom. I work full time. I take great care of my husband and my son and my bonus kids. Don't get me wrong. They are my world, but I'm definitely one of those moms off of Bad Moms. I'm not your stereotypical mom, as you can see. All right, so I always knew I wanted to be a mom from the time I was little, okay? It just was like a thing that was ingrained in me. I had the most amazing example as a mom. I told you guys before in my previous video that, I was homeschooled. My mom homeschooled me and my brother. She definitely was that mom. The world revolved around us for her. Okay, she was amazing. She still is. Absolutely amazing. I love my mom to death. Absolutely adore her. She's incredible. And honestly, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for my mom. I don't give her enough gratitude at all ever. Okay. And I used to always think if I become a mom, if I could be half the mom that my mom was, then I'm doing something right. Guys, I'm not even close. Okay. I'm not anywhere close to even being half the mom my mom was. But I'm working on it. And I'm hoping that by the time my little man graduates high school, I might be there. Fingers crossed. Now I waffled a lot between whether or not I wanted to be a mom or I didn't want to be a mom. Now, guys, before I met my wonderful husband, Rob, I was married before. Married for about 5.5 years, and I did not want kids with him. No way. That's another story for another time. But that was one thing I knew, is that I did not want to have kids with him. So I just assumed that meant I didn't want children. I mean, wouldn't anyone else assume that? Maybe? Just me? I mean, I don't know. But I just assumed that meant I did not want to have kids. And then after him and I divorced, I started seeing someone else who was adamant never to have kids. So I'm like, well, shoot, I'm off the kid having, thing. I don't have to do this, right? Whoop, whoop. That was my thought. Okay, I was young. I was like 25. I think I was about 25, 26 at the time. So I was still pretty young. I was getting into partying, all the things I should have done when I was like 21, but I didn't. I I was not anywhere in a position to even think about having children. So I was thinking I was off the hook, like hardcore, because I'm with this guy who doesn't want to have kids. So go me, right? And then him and I broke up. Fast forward, and I meet Rob, my amazing husband, who I'm married to today. And I'm still thinking that I don't want to have kids, right? Well, here comes Rob. Guys, here comes Rob. Okay. And he honestly is just about the sweetest man I know. Like, for real. Like, I married that man for a reason. He's such a sweetheart. But again, we're going to get into that at a later video. But now when I met him, you know, like I said, I was still very firm on the fact that I didn't want to have kids. And that's, you know, you first meet somebody, that's not really a great conversation starter. Hey, my name is Shalane. I don't ever want to have kids. Like, that's just not a thing that you do, right? So of course, we didn't have that conversation right off the bat. But then I found out that he had 2 kids. 2 beautiful, amazing children. And though I was slightly terrified to meet them, obviously, I really thought I was off the hook for this. Like, okay, so I get to have kids and be a mom without doing all the work. Sweet. Could not be further from the truth, guys. Okay? You still have to put in the work whether they're your kids or not. And I have to be completely honest, because that's what these are all about, is honesty. Being a stepmom is about 1,000,000 times harder than being a mom. 1,000,000 times harder. Now, I didn't really realize that until I became a mom. Again, we're going to get into that. Okay, so moving on. Now, Rob and I had decided that we were not going to have kids, like, together. Like, he had his 2, and I didn't want any of my own. So we were good, right? So we had that conversation. We made that decision. La la la. Okay, so fast forward. Now, we met May of 2016, and we dated for a little over a year, and we got engaged July of 2017. Everything was perfect. Life was perfect, okay, for me. I didn't want or need anything else. I got the man of my dreams. I have 2 beautiful bonus kids. What more could I ask for? Dun, dun, dun. Just kidding, guys. It wasn't like that. Now, August 2017 comes, and I find out I'm pregnant. Whoa. Okay, like a bomb drop. Okay, guys, whoa. It's about 3:30 in the morning when I take the test. I work 5 a.m. shift typically. And so it's 3:30 in the morning, and I take this test, and I'm by myself, and I'm in my bathroom, and I start to cry, and I start to panic, and I have all these thoughts going through my head. Oh my gosh, no, was my first thought. Then my second thought was, oh shit. Just like that. Oh shit. Damn. Okay. Here we are. Whoa. And then I left for work. I was in shock, and I was scared to death to tell Rob because I didn't know how he would respond. Straight up honesty, I did not know how he was going to respond to the news that I was pregnant. And so I was terrified. So I went to urgent care after work. No sign of even leading towards anything like that when I talked to him. Text him off and on all day while I was at work, on my break, whatever. And I don't lead up to anything. I don't want him to know until I get this confirmed from urgent care. So I go to urgent care. The doctor comes in, and he sheepishly goes, congrats. You're pregnant. Like, that's literally how he delivered the news to me. And my mouth just fell, and I started to cry. And he goes, I never know whether to be joyful when I tell women this or to be cautious, because I never know if this is actually something that they want. And I was like, oh no, joyful is great. Because I was just shocked, right? So when I got done at urgent care, I went to Walmart, and I bought this little Batman onesie, because my husband and I are, like, completely obsessed with, like, Batman and Superman and Marvel and all these things, right? And so I went and bought a little Batman onesie, and I put it and the test results from urgent care and the pregnancy test all in this little box, and I put it in a gift bag. And when I got home, I gave it to him, and I was terrified. I was like a nervous wreck. I was scared to death. And he opens it up, and he was so excited. So excited, ecstatic. He had tears in his eyes. He was like, he embraced me. I could not have asked for a better response from the man that I love. And I knew in that moment, okay, I want to have this baby with this sweet man. Let's do this. And then I was excited. Pregnancy is interesting, guys. It's not like anything they ever tell you. The best thing that I can relate pregnancy to is the movie What to Expect When You're Expecting. I've watched that movie 100 times, and it is the best depiction of what pregnancy is for each person. It is so different for everyone. Everyone told me all their experiences and what pregnancy was like and what I would go through and all these things, and yet none of those things really happened to me. I was told my feet would swell. I was told I would have crazy morning sickness. I was told I'd have all these weird food cravings, all this stuff. I think the weirdest food craving I probably had was Ruffles potato chips and mayonnaise. Otherwise, I just really wanted a lot of cheese. I don't know, anything cheese. But to me, that's really not weird because I love cheese anyway. But I was very blessed. I was able to work my 2 jobs. I was working like 16 to 18-hour days between both my jobs, all the way up until about a week before my son was born, I want to say. I was never sick. I never had an ounce of morning sickness. I think I threw up one time, and that was only because I ate something that didn't agree with me or that my little dude didn't like, and I threw it up. But that was probably the only time I really threw up during my entire pregnancy. My feet didn't swell. Actually, my feet shrunk, and I went down a half a shoe size. Yeah, almost a whole shoe size, and still am now. Like, I was a 9 before I got pregnant. Now I'm like an 8.5. So that was really weird. But it was probably, honestly, the best I'd ever felt in my entire life was while I was pregnant. And my husband always says, well, it's because that's when you took the best care of yourself. And he's not wrong about that. I took my vitamins faithfully. I ate all the time. What I needed to do, healthy stuff only. I followed all the rules, went to all my OB appointments, everything. Like, I took really good care of myself. So, of course, naturally, I felt amazing. Now, that was up until the last month. My due date was my due date was May 4th. And I swear, April 1st, like on the day, things started to kind of go downhill. And my husband and I were nervous and scared. We were nervous about whether or not me and my son would make it to our due date, and let alone if we were going to be healthy. I was having crazy high blood pressure. I was having all these other issues, but we hid it from pretty much everybody because why make everyone else worry, right? So we just kind of worried in silence, prayed a lot, and we got through it. So my due date was May 4th, and I started having regular contractions every 5 minutes on April 29th. So like almost a week before my due date. So I'm having these crazy contractions. My water's not breaking. I'm not losing any of my mucus plug. Like, none of that's happening. So I'm going, am I in labor? Am I not in labor? Like, what's going on? So that was a Monday. No, it started the 28th, I guess. So late Sunday night. Monday, I called off work and told them I wasn't coming back. Granted, my due date was like that following weekend. So they completely understood. So on Thursday, I was really feeling I had a doctor's appointment on my due date on the 4th, but that Thursday I was just not really feeling great. So I called my mother-in-law. My parents live 4 hours away from here. My mother-in-law lives like right up the street, but she was at work, and I called her and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I need to go get checked. And she's like, I'll be right there. So she left work, came pick me up. My husband was working. We only had one car at the time. And so she came and got me, and we went to the hospital, and they checked me, and I wasn't even close to being dilated. Now, you want the real truth? being checked for dilation is the most painful thing in the entire universe. It hurt so bad. I was literally in tears. Like, oh my gosh, did you just stick your hand all the way up there? Because, whew, wow. Okay, very painful. Just warning anyone out there who's watching this that has not had kids yet, that's the part that you need to be worried about. They don't make drugs for that. So anyway, so Thursday, I'm not dilated at all. What the heck is going on? I'm having contractions every 5 minutes. And they're monitoring my contractions on the machine. And sure enough, every 5 minutes, I'm having a pretty intense contraction. And they told me I had uncooperative cervix and to go home and wait it out. Well, if it's uncooperative on Thursday, what's to say it's going to become cooperative by Saturday or Sunday? Like, hold up. What do you mean it's uncooperative? How do we make it cooperate? Because I'm in pain and I want this baby out. Like, come on now. So, I go to my follow-up appointment on Friday. She checks me again. Oh my gosh, it's like dreadful getting your cervix checked. Dreadful, guys. Oh my gosh. So painful. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that way. Maybe it's because it was uncooperative and it was like, hi, no, you're not sticking your hand up here. I don't know. But, so anyway, I'm not dilated. Are you kidding me? Like, that was the worst news I could have gotten. And I begged to be induced. I'm sitting in my OB's office, literally begging her to induce me. Something's on my lip. Sorry, guys. Begging and pleading and begging. Please induce me. Just get this baby out. Just let's go now. Like, I'm ready. Like, come on. Like, my parents are coming up to St. Louis to be with me. Please. I'm begging her. And you know what her response to me was? You're not the only mom that comes in here when they hit their due date and they're miserable and they want the baby out. No. You don't. No. You don't get it. I'm in pain. I'm having contractions every 5 minutes. Induce me right now. Let's do this. Nope. Apparently, they want you to go to 41 weeks before they'll induce you. How is that like a thing? No. I'm not waiting another week. Nope. So, my parents come up from Branson on the 4th because that was my due date. And they had planned that because my mom wanted to be there and I wanted her to be there when my son was born and all that stuff. And so I call them. They're not going to induce me. And my mom was like, what? And I was like, no, they want to see if I get to 41 weeks because they'd really like to see if I can go on my own. Because apparently my cervix is just going to start cooperating out of nowhere. So on Friday they get there and they take me to dinner and like they have me moving around because we think that movement is going to really like speed things up. And then Saturday, again, moving around. Mom and I went shopping and we went to lunch and I'm in pain and I'm in agony and I'm having sciatic issues and I can barely walk and I feel like a cow and all this crazy stuff, right? So then Sunday morning I wake up and now things are starting to roll along. I'm like, okay, so now my cervix has decided to cooperate, but it couldn't cooperate 3 days ago. But it wants to now. So whatever. My body has always been on its own schedule. So I called my mom and I said, I think I should just go get checked because I think maybe now I'm finally dilating, right? So of course she's super excited. Okay, I'll get Dad. We'll come get you, whatever. Good, my husband was at work. So we go to the hospital and I am finally dilated to a 1. I'll take it. Okay. So they told me to go walk the hospital for 45 minutes to an hour, come back up, they'll check me again, and if I've progressed, then they'll admit me and we'll get things rolling. So I'm like, I'm gonna have a baby by tonight. Hallelujah. So I go, and my mom and I walk around the hospital for like 45 minutes to an hour, and we're trying to get things rolling, and I go back up, and I'm dilated to a 3. Great. Let's do this. So they tell me to go ahead and call my husband, let him know I'm getting admitted. So I call my husband. I was like, they're going to admit me, but don't rush or anything because, you know, how these things go. It can, you know, be several hours before anything actually starts. He's like, okay, well, I'm just finishing up. I'll get there as soon as I can. Great, take your time. They check me. Somehow my cervix closed up a half a centimeter. From the time they checked me to the time they admitted me to the time they hooked me up to these machines showing I'm having contractions, my cervix goes, what? Are you kidding me? Like, they told me that, and I thought my heart sank. Like, I'm just, like, sitting here going, what is my body doing? Why won't it cooperate? I want this baby out. By this point, I've been in active labor with an uncooperative cervix for a week. 6 days by this point. You can imagine how exhausted I am. I am exhausted. I'm tired. I want to get this done. I'm over it. I'm done being pregnant. I'm over all this, right? So they gave me the option to have, because I had been adamant no epidural up until this point. So they asked me, do you want the epidural? And I said, no, I don't think so. I don't know. I really don't know. And they're like, well, we'll leave the option there in case you want it. And I'm like, okay, great. So it's like, by this point now I'm up walking the hospital halls. I'm doing all this stuff. And by this point, I think it's like, I don't even know what time. I was admitted at like 3, and I think now it's like 7 or 8 or 9. I lost all track of time. They come in and they tell me, wait, you're not moving at all. You're not dilating. So we can send you home, or we can go ahead and induce you. Induce me. Let's just do it. And so they hooked me up to the Pitocin. And they start it, and things are moving along and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. All right. And they told me that a lot of times when you don't want the epidural and you get the Pitocin, then you want the epidural. And I was like, well, we'll see. And they're like, okay, well, just let us know. Now, I don't know if anyone who's watching this has ever been induced, but they do it by like you start off at like a 1 induction, and then a 2, and then a 4, and then like you keep climbing until you get to like a 10 or 12. And I'm at an 8. I think I got to an 8, and I was so over it. I was so exhausted, and my body was still not cooperating. I was still not dilating. Even with the Pitocin, nothing was happening. So finally they came in and they were like, we think that it would be best for you to get the epidural. And I was like, okay, I'll take it, please. Yes. I'm like exhausted by this point. I have no fight left in me. So let's do it. So they give me the epidural, and probably within 5 minutes of the nurse walking out of the room, my water finally breaks. Now that doesn't really mean anything for anybody who hasn't had kids, or hasn't had a baby. That really doesn't mean anything. You could still be in labor for hours and hours after your water breaks. But my water broke, and then my cervix decided to start really cooperating. And by about, I want to say 4 in the morning, I was finally dilated to a 10. They let me wait another hour to kind of let the baby drop a little more. And they told me to try to get some rest during the night, because I could be pushing for up to 3 hours. And I thought, no, that's not an option. After all this, I'm not going to sit here and try to push for 3 hours. I started pushing at 5, and he was born at 5:35. So 35 minutes. No, 5:05. I started pushing at 5:05, and he was born at 5:35. So about 30 minutes, I want to say. Yeah. Yep. Like a boss. Anyway, did not mean to get into my whole labor and delivery story, but so that's how my journey as a mom started. So I spent about 3 days in the hospital. I had a few complications after he was born. Nothing too crazy. They just wanted to keep an eye on me. So I spent about 3 days in the hospital. 3 days later, the scariest day of my life, we were going home. It's supposed to be like the happiest day because I'm finally getting out of the hospital, but I was so scared. Okay, guys, if you ever brought a newborn baby home from the hospital and you're in the car for the first time, you find yourself even that much more aware of how crappy people drive. Oh my gosh, I was a nervous wreck the whole time. I mean, nervous wreck the entire time. I have this tiny little human who's like 8 pounds sitting in this giant car seat next to me, and I have no control over the other people. I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. So then we get home. Guys, being a new mom is the hardest thing in the entire world, and do not ever let anyone tell you otherwise. I had so many people tell me that being a new mom is the best thing ever. Being a new mom is so nice. It's so easy. It's so la. You're gonna love it. No, I love it. I loved it. But it's not easy at all. Okay? You have to count the poops. You have to count their pees. They have to have like there's so many poop diapers they're supposed to have in the morning or during the day, and then there's so many pee diapers they're supposed to have during the day, so you gotta do that, and then you gotta count their feedings, and they gotta eat like every 2 to 3 hours. And oh my gosh, what if they don't get enough? What if they're not getting enough? What if they're not full? What if I'm not producing enough? Okay, now there's so many things, and then you're not sleeping, and then you forget to eat. You don't shower. I couldn't even tell you how long I went before I had a shower, okay? And then the fact that you're taking care of a newborn and you just pushed this baby out of your hoo-ha, or you had a C-section or whatever, either way, you have to recover. And recovery time is insane. And I think recovery time for a C-section is even longer than a vaginal birth. So I couldn't even imagine, to you C-section moms, praise you, because I couldn't even imagine trying to take care of a newborn after having a C-section. That's like a major surgery, okay? I couldn't even imagine. It was like, and then the one thing that people don't tell you, that I'm going to tell you, is the after delivery poop. Guys, it's almost as painful as pushing a baby out. Oh my gosh. It was dreadful. I can't even. That was so painful. And then you have this like rubber water squirt thingy. You guys know what I'm talking about. Those of you who have had kids, you guys know what I'm talking about. And you have to fill it with water, and you have to like hose out your cooter after you go to the bathroom so you don't get an infection. And I had a 3rd-degree tear in 3 different places. Wow. Those are all the things nobody tells you about. Nobody wants you to know the ugly parts of childbirth. There they are. And this is all while counting diapers and feeding a baby and trying to make sure they poop enough and trying to make sure they pee enough and trying to make sure they get enough ounces. How many ounces? I don't even know how many ounces I'm supposed to give a newborn. They don't tell you that. These are all the things they don't tell you. They need to write a book on this. Somebody needs to write a book, a handbook of the real stuff. The real stuff. Not just the pleasantries and the yays and the whatever. And maybe there is a book out there and I just didn't read it. I don't even know. But oh my gosh, these are all the things nobody tells you about. Anyway, moving on from that. One thing I wanted to do so bad, and I know that this is probably going to be an interesting subject for some people, might be a little sensitive, I don't know. Excuse me. But one thing that I was adamant about was nursing my son. Everything I had read said that nursing was best, that breast milk was the healthiest option for them, that it has so many nutrients in it, that it has so many antibodies in it, and if you give them breast milk, they won't get sick, and if you get So I got it in my head that that was the only way that my son would be healthy, is if I breastfed him. So I was adamant that I nurse my son. My husband was super supportive, like always, and so he was completely on board with me nursing. And I think I was only able to do it for about 4 weeks, if that. And I remember the night that my husband and I had discussed supplementing with formula, because we just didn't really think that our baby boy was getting enough food. And I just sat there and I cried because I felt like a total failure. Guys. I felt like I had let my son down because I could not nurse him the way that I wanted to. And then after about 4 weeks, now rewind, I tried everything. I read that oatmeal was supposed to boost your milk supply, so I ate oatmeal like twice a day. And I read about all these like lactation teas and vitamins and stuff. And so the next thing I know, my dad's having a shipment of lactation teas and vitamins sent to my house, like boxes upon boxes of these things to like try to get my milk supply up. I love you, Dad. Thank you for all your help with that, by the way. And my mom, I was calling my mom like every 5 minutes, just crying hysterically. My boobs hurt so bad. They were raw. I felt like I can't even describe it, but they hurt. And I was using lanolin all the time and it wasn't working. And I thought that maybe, then I got like my milk gland got all like clogged up and I had this giant lump on the side of my breast that hurt so bad. And so someone told me I had to go into the shower and like milk myself basically. And so I am, and I'm losing all this precious milk. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have fed my son with that. So it's like all these things. Finally, after 4 weeks, my husband and I had a long conversation and we decided that we needed to just go straight to formula. And I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I fell into the deepest postpartum depression. And by this point, I was probably already in postpartum and didn't even realize it. And then when I realized I couldn't nurse my son, it was like everything just intensified. Okay, I was devastated. Nobody wants to be told they can't, no woman wants to be told they can't do something as simple as nursing. I couldn't do it, guys. Plain and simple. My poor baby was suffering. And, I felt like the worst parent on the planet. And then you read all these like moms who are all about breast is best. And, they're telling you that the only way that your child can thrive and have the nutrients that he or she needs is to get breast milk, and that formula is not good and it's not healthy and it and devastated. Just absolutely devastated. But here's the thing. Do not ever let any woman tell you that you cannot formula feed your child. Don't let any woman tell you that a breastfed baby is healthier than a formula-fed baby. Do not let anyone convince you of that, because it's simply not true at all. Okay? I'm serious. Not true. I would really love to destroy that saying breast is best. I'd love to destroy it. I would love to just take it out of the universe completely. Get rid of it. Stomp on it like a bug, like a nasty, poisonous bug. Just crush it. Because a fed baby is best. And it doesn't matter how you get there, whether it's formula or breast milk. It doesn't matter. We should be grateful that we even have a resource like formula to even feed our kids if we can't breastfeed. What did they do back in the old times when they didn't have formula? What did they do then? I don't even know. Everything else after that was pretty seamless. I mean, my little dude was like the best baby, guys. Like his sleep patterns were awesome. He was a little cuddle bug. He never cried. Like literally my son never cried. The only time he ever cried was when he needed fed, and that was it. He didn't even cry for a diaper change. And like by crying, I mean he would just kind of fuss and stir a little, and that was it. Okay, I had the best baby. I was super blessed. Super blessed. And then he started crawling at about 6 months. And then he started really learning how to walk and really getting into it at about 8 or 9 months. He did not crawl for very long. He didn't really even want to crawl. He would get so frustrated. But yeah, he was fast. He's always been a really fast learner. His first word was dada, of course, because it always is. And then Bubba's, which is what he calls our oldest cat, Samurai. He calls him Bubba's, and so that was his second word. And then, of course, he learned about 100 other words before he learned mama. But, whatever. It's fine. I'm not bitter at all about that, at all. Everyone I've talked to has said that that's usually the case, though. They usually say all these words, and then mama's like the last on the list. And you can sit there and try to get them to say mama all you want, and they just look at you like you're stupid. And then things started to get hard. And this is when when life gets interesting, is when they realize they can get into everything. Oh, my little dude can open doors now. Like, he's all about opening the bedroom door. Nap time, I can't. No. I try to take my dear sweet husband let me take a nap today. I love you. Shout out to my husband, Rob, for letting me get a nap in today, and trying to keep little man away from opening the door. But there's no private bathroom time. That's not a thing. No, he's all about opening doors. He likes to slam them. He got that from me, for sure. I was definitely a door slammer as a kid. Still am when I get mad enough. And then one thing that I would love to know, and I would love any moms to reach out to me who are watching this, is I would love to know why it is that when you're home with your son or your daughter or your twins or triplets or whatever the case may be, you have to tell them 1,000 times to do something. 1,000 times. Like in a row. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. And like before they finally are like, oh, mom's talking to me, I should probably listen. And they're like tiny little monsters that like suck all of the energy and life out of you, and they just keep sucking it and sucking it and sucking it, and then daddy gets home and they're perfect little angels as soon as daddy walks in the door, and they're just great, and it's like nothing ever happened, and the house is wrecked, and I have no hair, and I'm tired, and I'm almost in tears. And all daddy sees is this like happy as a clam little dude meeting him at the door going, Dada, oh Dada. And they've been a monster for you all day. Tell me I'm not the only one that goes through that all the time. Anyway. Now, things I never thought I would say in a day. And I made a list. And I'm going to read it to you. The things I never thought I would say in a day, but have. My favorite was a few days ago, because we're in quarantine, and so we're locked in the house, and we're not going anywhere, and he's not getting any social interaction, except, me and his dad. And he decided while my husband was in the shower the other day that he would go up, and he has figured out how to pull those little plasticky thingies out of the electrical outlet. And I looked over just as he's pulling it out and trying to lick it like a lollipop. And I actually had to say the words, no, don't lick the electrical outlet. It's not a lollipop. And then he had a meltdown, complete meltdown, because I didn't want him to electrocute himself. Or, no, you can't ride the cat. Our oldest cat, Samurai, is a very big cat, like very large, very chunky, such a sweetheart. All of our cats are super sweet. So we have 3. We have Samurai, we have Nakano, and we have Sasuke. And our little dude has a nickname for all of them. And Samurai is Bubba's, and Nakano is Mama's, and Sasuke is Yaye. And it's like the cutest thing ever to hear him call them by their nicknames. But anyway, that's not important. But he will literally he has tried to ride our oldest cat, Samurai. So I've had to say, no, you can't ride the cat. And no, you can't draw on the walls, which I feel like every parent probably goes through that. Or my favorite one was when I walked into the bathroom where the litter boxes are, and I had to say, no, you can't play in the litter box. It's not a sandbox. And then he looked at me like I was crazy. Or no, you can't eat cat poop. Or no, you can't eat cat food. And then he has a meltdown anytime I tell him, no, you can't do that because I'm trying to keep him safe. That's fun. Please stop pulling on your wee-wee so hard. I don't know what it is, but it's like fascinating to him. And I guess just because he's trying to like learn and discover his body, but I swear he pulls on it so hard. And I'm just like, how does that not hurt? How does that not hurt? If I tell him, please don't pull on your wee-wee. I don't know. or stop scratching your butthole while we're in the bath. He'll literally stand up and start like scratching, like going at his butt crack. And I'm just like, I know I just wiped him and I know that he's clean because I just bathed him, but still, like, dude, no. But the list goes on. There's so many things. There's so many things I say in a day that I had never thought I would ever say. Or the best is when you say something and you go, my mom just came out. Like literally. I said something to my bonus daughter several weeks back and I was like, oh my gosh. That is literally something my mother would have said. Like, that really does happen, ladies. Your mother will literally just fly out of your mouth and you won't even realize it. And as much as you can say, I will never say the things that my mother ever said, because we're teenagers and we know everything and we're like, I know better and I'm never going to be like my mom. And then you become a mom and then you say things that are exactly what your mother would have said or has said. It happens. So don't think it doesn't. Anyway, so moving on. Oh, here's one. Why is it that when our parents become grandparents, all the rules that we had as kids completely go out the window and our kids can do no wrong when they're at grandma and grandpa's house? Like, all the things that we would have gotten in trouble for as kids, no, they don't get in trouble for. Why would they get in trouble for that? No. My parents tolerate things that I could have sworn they would never have tolerated when I was a kid, when my little dude is with them. It's hilarious. I remember one time I was visiting, this was like a couple months before Christmas, and it was just me, hubby, and the older two. They couldn't come down. Hubby had to work and the kids were in school. And I happened to have some time off from work during the week, and so I went down to Branson for a few days to see my family, whatever. And I was trying to get my son to bed. And when I am working, because currently I am on a leave, on a medical leave, but when I am working, we're on a very strict schedule. And I do not deviate from that schedule because my little dude gets up super early to go to the sitter. And so he has a very strict 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. bedtime. And I would never deviate from that. Right now during quarantine, and while I'm on my medical leave, I deviate from that. Whatever. We don't get up early, so it's not a big deal. But when we do get up early, he has to go to bed at a certain time. Like, that's just my rule. Well, I'm trying to get him to bed. By this point, it's like 10 o'clock, and I am like beside myself because he's not in bed yet. And I know, I need to relax a little bit. It's not the end of the world. We were on a little vacation, but still, I was a Nazi about bedtime. And I was really stressing out because I could not get my son to settle down and go to bed. And my dad looks at me and goes, oh, honey, he's just a kid. Let him play. He's fine. Was I the only one that heard that? Like, I looked at my mom and she's like, my mom is literally giggling at this point. And I'm just like, what? And my dad goes, what? And I'm like, did you really just say that? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. Coming from Mr. Strict when it came to bedtimes with me growing up. And he goes, well, he's my grandbaby. He can do no wrong. That's a thing that really happens, guys. That's a thing that really happens. When your parents become grandparents, the rules no longer apply. Okay. Now, another thing, we as parents, there's always going to be stories that we're going to remember. And there's always going to be a funny one. There's always going to be an emotional one. And there's always going to be a scary one, like a scary time in our kids' lives. So far, my emotional is when my son was born. I remember when they put him in my arms, I cried and cried and cried. I never knew that you could have so much love for something or someone or a thing or a human or anything like I have for my son. I had no idea that my heart could even contain that I even had that in me. Oh my gosh, I can't even express to you the amount of love that I have for my son. And if you're a mom, you understand that kind of love. Only a mom can really understand and relate to that depth of love, okay? A scary one, it was a few nights ago, after I recorded my last video. Hubby and I had sat down to have a glass of wine together, and yes, I drink a glass of wine at night because of my tiny human. No, I'm just kidding. He's not why. But we sat down to have a glass of wine together, and it was like there's weird noise coming from our bedroom, and my little dude had knocked off with his blanket my container of Tums, because I get terrible heartburn a lot, my container of Tums from my nightstand, and had them dumped out in his pack and play and was playing with them. And of course I panic. Okay, so I called poison control for the first time in my life, and the lady on the other end was so nice. If anybody's ever called poison control, those nurses are incredibly kind when you call, because I'm thinking this woman's probably gonna think I'm crazy. She's probably like, it's just Tums, you Nimrod. He's fine. They're just Tums. But no, she was super kind about it. I could kind of hear her like wanting to kind of chuckle in the background, but I'm like, I think she clearly knew I was a new mom and had no idea. But she was very nice, and she called back an hour later to check on him, and she told me everything was gonna be fine. But that was scary for me because he had never ingested anything that was not food related or that I had given him. And then my funny one is probably not really funny, but it's like what I get joy out of. And a couple of things that I get like the most joy out of is watching him learn. Like it just makes my heart like want to explode. Like he knows how to say yes please now, and it's like the cutest thing to like hear him say it, because he's like, yet please. It's like so cute. I can't mimic it. Like it's terrible listening to me try to do it, but or when he finds something really funny, he'll start to laugh and he slaps his knee, which is like, again, the cutest thing ever. And just recently, my husband showed me today that he has discovered he knows how to sing happy birthday to you now. It's like the cutest thing ever. So that was super cute. But those are my happy / funny moments, I guess you could say. So I asked my mom, sorry guys, my allergies are like kicking up. I asked my mom what hers were. I texted her, or actually I called her yesterday, and I asked her, and she was like, well, I'm really gonna have to think about that one. And so she texted me this morning, and she had a few different ones. She has a funny and a scary and an emotional. For her funny was a couple things about me, of course. I remember one time, sorry guys, oh my gosh, my nose is running like crazy. I remember one time we had a Honda Element. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but those were like the super boxy, like weird looking, they looked like SUVs or whatever. We had one of those. And this lady, we had pulled up to the McDonald's parking lot, and I was returning a red box back when like that was the thing to do. And this lady stopped me and she goes, did you just get out of that Honda Element? And I said, well, yeah, actually I did. And she goes, do you guys like it? Like, is it like how like, ask me questions about it, right? And my stupid ass looks at her and goes, oh yeah, it's great. It's got the feel of an SUV, but the drive of a sport utility vehicle. Yes, it's the same thing. I felt like such an idiot when I walked away. My parents laughed for days about that. They still laugh about it whenever they tell the story. Or the time that I was in kindergarten and told my kindergarten teacher that I was allergic to butterflies. Yep, did that. Anytime that I didn't want to do something that the teachers wanted me to do, I told them I was allergic to it. I don't know. And now I think like karma, because now I have a ton of allergies, and I think that like that's karma, right? Her emotionals were when my brother and I were born, when we were baptized for our church when we were 8, seeing us get married. She told me that, I've been married twice. I'm on my second marriage, my second and last. And she told me that this last one was more emotional for her because, of the circumstances. But she definitely says that seeing witnessing my brother and I marry our spouses was definitely one of her more emotional moments, in a good way. And then she was there with me when my son was born. And she said that she got to watch him come out, and that was like the most amazing moment for her, and super emotional and happy. And I was very blessed to be able to have both my mom and my mother-in-law there with me in the room with my husband. It was perfect, and I couldn't have asked for a better support group. And especially, for sure, having my mom there was just amazing, especially with how close her and I are. And then her scary. So I was, my son was born in May, and then in July I got a brown recluse bite on my pinky finger that had gotten infected and caused blood poisoning. And I had the red line all the way up my arm, and it was creeping up into my neck. And my dad was like, you need to go to the hospital. And so I went to the hospital and was hospitalized with blood poisoning. And it's the first time I had ever spent the night away from my son, and it was super emotional. But my mom was my rock through the whole thing. Super brave, super strong, super supportive, never showed a sign of emotion towards it, nothing. And then it wasn't probably until about a year later that she finally told me how absolutely scared and terrified she was. I would never have known. I guess, with that being said, that's kind of what moms do. That's kind of what we do as moms. We act brave, and we act tough, and we act strong for our kids. In front of our kids, we don't cry in front of them. We don't get emotional in front of them. We just don't. I never really saw my mom ever break down emotionally when I was growing up, ever. She was always that one person that was there to hold us close when we were crying or upset. She was always there when my brother and I got bullied. She was there through my eating disorder. She was there through everything. Never once broke down, never once showed emotion that didn't need to be showed. I never saw her. Well, I never saw her and my dad fight. Like, that was a thing that never happened. They never fought in front of us. They never talked about bills or anything like that in front of us. It just wasn't a thing that was discussed. But it wasn't probably until I became a mom that I realized how many sleepless nights that my mom probably had, or probably how many nights she cried herself to sleep. And I don't think that you will realize that until you become a parent. And it's like, it's hard and it's emotional because you question everything that you do. You question everything you feed them. Is he getting enough vitamins and nutrients? Is he getting enough protein? Is he getting enough calcium? You question bedtimes. You question the soap you use to bathe them. You question the soap that you use to wash their clothes in. You question, did I teach him enough today? Did I read with him enough? Did I play with him enough? Did I tell him I love him enough? Did I hug him enough today? Did I kiss him enough today? There's so many things that we question as moms, especially because we want everything to be perfect for our kids. And that's really hard. And I realize now how hard things were for my mom while we were growing up. And she had two of us. And I only have one biological little dude that I'm with every day. And it's emotional, guys. It's like, being a mom is not easy. It's not. It's like, the way I describe it is, it's the hardest, most rewarding job you'll ever have in your life. And it never ends. It doesn't end when they're 18. I was talking to my mom today. Actually, I was telling her about this video I was doing today and what it was about. And, she was like, well, just make sure that you put in there that, your job as a mom never ends. And I was like, can you expand on that? And she's told me this before. And she said, you know, you're 30 and you're married and you have kids of your own and your brother's married and on his own, and I still worry about you guys all the time, and I still lose sleep over it all the time, and I still wonder if you guys are okay and if you're eating enough and all this stuff, and everything that you worry about when they're little and they're under your roof, that doesn't go away. She said, once you're a mom forever, and that doesn't stop. And that hit. That really hit, guys. And it's true. When you're a mom forever, and it doesn't stop. It's an endless job. Now being a stepmom. Holy cow, guys. Being a stepmom. I never thought I would ever, guys. I don't even know where to start on that one. Being a stepmom is seriously so much harder than being a mom. You have a lot of boundaries that you can't cross when you're a stepmom. You have to be careful what you say. You have to be careful what you do. You have to be careful how you discipline. You have to be careful what you ask them to do. Like, there's so many things you have to be careful with. And the biggest thing is you don't want to step on their mom's toes. You know, if you're a good stepmom, you're not going to do anything that will risk any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to tear the relationship between the children and their biological mom apart. Like, that's not something, so you don't, you know, that's not something that you want to do. You also don't want to make things hard, so you can't, you know, so your husband can't see his kids. Like, you don't want to do that. It's hard. There's so many boundaries and so many lines, and it's hard. I never honestly thought I would ever be with anyone that had kids. I never thought I would want to be with anyone who had kids. I'm glad that I have my husband, and I absolutely adore my bonus kids. So I'm really glad that actually changed. You know, I love my bonus kids like they were my own. I think of it as, you know, I call them my bonus kids because I really don't like the word step. I feel like it's negative. You know, when you think of stepdaughter, stepmom, stepsister, I always think of the Disney movies with the evil stepmom, and that's definitely not what I try to be. I definitely don't try to like get the title evil stepmom. I'm also not trying to be like the cool stepmom. I'm just trying to be a stepmom. Like whatever that looks like in the moment, then that's what I am, if that makes sense. But I don't like the word step, so I call it my bonus kids, or I just say they're my kids because I love them just as much as I love my son, and that will never change. Nothing could ever make me not love them as much as I love my son. They give me a run for my money. They test me, those two. I don't know if it's the age or if it's because they're my bonus kids. Sorry, I just talked about how much I hate that word and I just used it. I don't know if it's because they're my bonus kids. I don't know if it's because of the age. My bonus son is almost 11, and my bonus son is almost 12. My bonus daughter will be 11 this year. So they're getting into like that preteen phase, I feel like, now. And so I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. But my bonus daughter really tests me. Guys, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because she's daddy's girl. I don't know if it's because I'm stepmom. I don't know if it's because girls are harder than boys. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I get along better with boys. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But boy, she tests me. Oh all the way to my core. Now, I have cried myself to sleep many nights because of her. Oof, that little girl. I love her to death. I do. But I don't even know. I try so hard, and I have tried so hard to get them to like me, and I don't know if maybe that's why. Maybe I'm trying too hard. But some days with them are great, and some days with them are nightmare. They don't want to listen to me. They don't show me any form of respect. They don't want to do what I ask them to do unless their dad is home. And the hardest thing that you could hear as a stepmom is when they get mad and they say, no, you're not my mom. You can't make me. Or you're not my mom. I don't have to listen to you. Or you're not my mom. And the reason that is so hard is because if you're doing things the way you should be doing them, and you love them like you love your own biological children, then you love them like a mom. And then when you're told that really hurts. Like, yeah, you're right. I'm not your mom, but I love you as much as if I were. And but you can't really say that to them. I mean, you can, but they don't, especially at the age they're at right now, they don't really understand or grasp, if that makes sense. I don't even know. Like, I love them like I've said, I love them as much as I love my son, and I would die for them. Like, I would die for my son, and I would do anything for them like I would do for my son. And I don't know how to get them to realize that, and I really don't think you can until maybe they get older and they have kids of their own, and then maybe they'll understand, or maybe they might end up with bonus kids themselves one day, and then they'll really understand. But I think the biggest thing is I just keep protecting them and loving them and being there for them and holding them when they cry and laughing at their jokes that they tell and spending quality time with them. And I just have to keep showing them just that I do love them, and just hope that one day it'll get through. That's my hope, is that one day they'll really understand that I really do love them, and I really do just want what's best for them, and that I really would do anything for them. Guys, being a mom is hard. It's really hard. And yet it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to wake up every morning and see my little dude, and he's talking to me, in his little baby talk, and he just wants to be cuddled and held for a little bit before we get rolling for the day. And it's rewarding when he says his words, and you can I taught him that, and that's rewarding. And it's just, being a mom is so rewarding, and it's so hard. And some moms have it harder. I think about the moms that have special needs kids. I think about, there's one mom in particular that I know, not personally, but I know her. She's got 2 special needs kids. She's got one with who's autistic, and then she's got one who can't, she literally has to do everything for him. I also know another family who has a son who's wheelchair bound, and he has a lot of needs. He's special needs as well. Total, such a sweet boy, sweet boy. But imagine being a mom and then having extra added. I also know that there's moms out there who are currently sitting in hospitals, holding their babies and praying for a miracle just to bring their babies home. I know that there are some moms who have not even gotten to physically hold their babies or some of their babies. I know some moms who have had to bury their babies after just a couple minutes of holding them. And then there's moms out there raising their babies alone. Single moms who are working so hard to do everything they can to provide for their babies. Moms out there who are really struggling and don't even know where their baby's next meal is going to come from, and you know they're crying themselves to sleep. You know they are, you know? I think we all have nights where we cry ourselves to sleep for different reasons, all involving our kids, but I can't imagine the moms out there who have harder struggles. But one thing that we all do is we all press on. We wake up in the morning and we put on our brave face, the best one that we can. And we push on for our babies. Because all we want our babies to see is happiness and love, that they are cared for, that they have what they need, that mommy and daddy love them, that mommy loves them. Whether it be our babies that are here with us on earth or our babies that are smiling down on us from heaven, we only want them to see the best, right? Who's with me? I only want my son to see me at my best. I never want him to see me at my worst, especially when he really can get old enough to understand life and what's going on. You know, I don't think it's wrong for, sorry guys, I don't think it's wrong for our babies to see us vulnerable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, but I think us as moms, we try not to show that too much because we want our babies to grow up and remember how strong their moms were. Am I wrong? I know that's what I want, is when my son grows up and gets older, I want him to say, wow. Something I remember about my mom is she was really strong. I think we moms love beyond all measure. We moms have a love in us that we can't explain because nobody would understand. No matter whether our babies are here with us or not, that doesn't change the amount of love that we have for them. And it never will. Sorry, I get really emotional about all this. One thing, ladies, that we need to remember is that we're all in this together. That it takes a village to raise babies, to raise our kids. It takes a village. And we need to all be there for each other. We all have a unique and personalized journey as moms. I don't think any parenting style or choice or the way we parent or anything like that is ever the same for two people. I think we all do things different. We all have our own way of doing things because our children are so unique that what may work for one person may not work for another person, but we all have the same end goal. And that's to raise the best tiny humans that we possibly can. To raise upstanding citizens, to raise children who have respect and dignity and are kind and are loving and are compassionate. We all have that same goal. That is one goal that we all have, and I don't think anybody can sit there and tell me otherwise. we don't want our kids to have a care in the world if we can help it. Especially right now. You know, this quarantine that everyone is under creates a lot of different emotions for people. I'm a hermit, so I'm thrilled about not leaving my house. But at the same time, I'm absolutely terrified to leave my house. So I haven't been out of my house probably in 2.5, 3 weeks. Okay? Because I'm terrified. So I think we all have our own thing when it comes to that. But anyway, during this quarantine, where I was going with that, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I think as moms, it's our goal to make sure that our kids are okay, that they don't go stir crazy, or that they even really know what's going on. I don't really think we want them to know because we don't really want them to worry. Or, you know, that's how I feel. At least I just don't want them to worry. So instead of judging each other and tearing each other down and trying to force our opinions on each other, I want to build up and encourage. I would love to just love on all you mamas out there. And I would love to just tell you to keep pressing on and that you're doing a great job. And it's not an easy one, but you're doing it. And you're doing it so well. And you're kicking ass. And I love it. And I would really love to hear some other mama stories. If you guys would love to reach out, I would love to hear them. I would love to hear some other stories. I just love hearing other moms talk about their experiences and things that they've been through. Trials, funnies, emotionals, whatever those might be. I would love to hear them. Guys, I'm gonna close this out. I've kept enough of your time. I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to be a mom. I never thought the day would ever come. I love my kids with all my heart, and I couldn't imagine my world without them. And I know it's hard, and I know that some days we struggle to get out of bed, and I know that some days we really question our sanity, and we question what we're doing, and if we're doing enough, if we're doing okay, if we're giving our kids enough. And you know what? You are. Mamas, you're doing a great job. All you mamas out there, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Hold your head high. Go take a warm bath. Read a nice book. Kiss your babies. And until next time, bye guys.